Hello, Nile and Gray.
Correct.
Thank you very much for your time. I'm Anna Vernillo and my sign name is Anna. I'm deaf and from Italy. I use Italian sign language. My interpreter will help me understand your answer. I'm very happy to meet you and talk about your documentary.
Where in Italy? Where in Italy?
Italy from Bergamo, near Milano.
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah.
Nile, what does this president now mean to you personally?
Yeah, it really means that deaf people were able to take their power back after years and years and
Nile,
years of oppression.
what do you think
And being
having
told that they
people
couldn't
can
do
learn
anything.
from this story?
They were seen as second-class citizens. Um, and in that moment, we really found I think a lot of things. I think it's incredibly powerful for me. I think learning that you can have deaf pride and you can be proud of your community, you can be proud of the language, and I also think that it's important to remind hearing people that we have those things in the first place. And that we don't need to be fixed and we don't need decisions made on our behalf, that we're very capable of making our own appropriate decisions, and that we're just like you, hopefully.
Nile, how do you feel watching the old videos from 1988?
Yeah, I mean, I had actually asked Gallaudet how much archival footage they would have, but I wasn't sure because I had always seen the same clips used again and again and again. And, if we hadn't been able to find enough, then we wouldn't be able to make the film. But we were very lucky. They gave us over 40 hours of footage to comb through. And, like I said, growing up, Gallaudet would celebrate the anniversary every year with the same 3 clips. So we weren't really expecting all of the rich footage we were able to find. We thought they probably just had, a few short things that they had been using for all those years. But turns out there were a lot more cameras and a lot more photographers out there. And really, truly, we could have told this story with just archive, but we wanted to be able to play with it a little bit more, add reenactments along with deaf POV, interviews, visual noise, to really bring the movie to life.
Nile, was it difficult to make this documentary?
Oh, definitely. Took 6 years to make, in fact, I first approached a producer for a scripted version, and after 4 years, we finally were able to start shooting this as a documentary. The edit also took a very long time. One of the other challenges was working with a co-director who was hearing, as I'm deaf. And so we had the very unique challenge of having to see and envision a film through one another's eyes and learn so much about our shared culture, as well as the differences. And we wanted to find sort of middle ground that could work for a hearing audience as well as a deaf, and could serve both equally with respect to the story. So often I would be explaining the experience of what it's like to be a deaf person, and Davis would be explaining, what it's like to be a hearing person and how to play with sound design and things like that. So it was a really fun challenge overall. I think we had a great time.
Nile, if you could send one message to young deaf people, what would it be?
I think I would want them to know that the fight is never over. You know, I really want more and more deaf kids out there who don't know the history of Deaf President Now to learn it and to be excited about it. This is a story that really has begun to fade from history. And I would really want to remind the generation of tomorrow about the fight that was required for the rights that we are so lucky to have today. They certainly were not free, you know, and I also would want them to look at this and realize that the fight has to continue because, you know, right now with the political landscape, really anything could happen here in the US, you know, so I would want them to keep in the back of their mind that truly the fight is never over.
Nile, what do you hope young deaf people after watching this film?
I think, you know, again, deaf people today often take things for granted. You know, I don't know that we're as proud to be deaf as we were back then. As technology has advanced and moved on, you know, along with things like gene editing therapy, you know, we face a lot of challenges as a community. I would hope that this film would re-inspire them to be proud to be deaf, especially in today's day and age.
Nile, why did you want to tell the story of deaf president now?
Yeah. Deaf President Now, I think, is one of the most important civil rights movements in the US. It had such an amazing impact. But it's not treated the same way in school curriculums. It's not taught with the same weight if it is taught. Here in the US, we learn a lot about civil rights movements and successes, but the one that feels the biggest that's lacking is Deaf President Now. You know, it was about more than just appointing a deaf president. It actually also gave rise to the passage of the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act, which protects us and provides the rights to so many of us here in the US. And, you know, we don't want Americans to forget that. We don't want them to be shy in talking about it, and certainly to think that it was simple, because it wasn't. It should be treated with the same respect as other civil rights movements.
Nile, you say that stories can change the world. Why is this story so powerful?
You know, I think here in the US and, you know, around the globe, I would want deaf people, not only here, but in other countries, you know, to realize that we're not something to be looked down upon. You know, since this film came out, we've seen, you know, over 110 countries added to the translated directory for this going out there. I would really hope to put, you know, a new light on the deaf community that's positive, as well as lowering the stigma that's felt around the world. Finding the words.
Thank you very much, Nile. The story extremely important for deaf community and for the world. And thank you very much for your time. It has truly been an honor.
So I hoped that Davis would be here, but he's not here. But anyways, I wanted to ask you, Niall. Davis has a sign name. Have you given him a sign name?
Yes, actually. So it's this right here up top. Yep. And it's because he's always in deep thought. He's always thinking. And that's part of the sign for thought. So, you know, anytime you see him, you can really tell that he's just in deep, deep creative thought. So that's why he got it.
So I was just wondering, you sign in American Sign Language, obviously. So what did you do? Did you have to teach some signs to Davis?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, taught him quite a bit. It's funny though, he does have a hard time remembering a lot of them, but yeah, certainly we taught sign language on set quite a bit. He knows a little bit.
Well, I think it's normal. I mean, he's hearing, so it's hard to learn sign language.
Right.
So one last thing that I wanted to say, it's not a question. I just wanted to say that the documentary is truly amazing because you can really tell that there is deaf people point of view in the documentary and not just the hearing people point of view. And it's very fascinating. And I think that since I became deaf when I was 23 years old, I can really tell what you did with the movie. So thank you so much. It's truly amazing.
Oh, I'm so happy that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you interviewing me. This was great. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.